also sounds like there's a big boom on its way. People are really waking up to LinkedIn at the moment, and it seems to really be gaining a lot of traction. But
I think so. I think it's kind of got a little bit of resurgence, partly because the other places have fallen down. If the
yeah,
worse, what's bad for LinkedIn, for Facebook or so, can be good for LinkedIn, depending on what it is, a little bit. So I'm just in this little world of myself, off in this extreme area, off in the corner. And so maybe I don't appreciate as much, how many times I'm told that I need to have keywords in my profile and to smile, and to write a blog post every week, or to do this and this. I mean, there's this side of the brain over here that's those types of people.
yeah.
And then there's my side over here that's the inbox rather than the data feed. They're the feed people and I'm the inbox guy, And but I just kept seeing person after person talking about the same thing that the person before said about having to have a profile with a good picture and a banner image and brand. And now the about section does this. And I've got to make sure the link of that. And you've only got 15 minutes, and telling somebody they already know in 15 minutes is not a plan for success.
So, Mike, how would you sum up your whole philosophy of how and why to use LinkedIn right now? Because I'm just going to jump right in here, and I'll move some stuff around to when we go live tomorrow.
Sure. Well, LinkedIn lends really well to systemization. Okay. And by systemization, I mean creating lists and ways that you do things that are highly repeatable. And in doing that, when you get down to this is our daily routine on LinkedIn, there's different sections and parts of it there that cater well to somebody else doing it, or to doing it with a little pasting tool or something that makes it not so time consuming, not such a drain on your, just drains you down. I got to do 100 more of those now, and I got, and it really gets into this way when you're dealing with the data, because the data doesn't come out of LinkedIn on its own.
It really doesn't. It's really not an obvious system to put into place. I can tell you that.
So download your data from LinkedIn and see what you get, right? There's 5, 6 data fields, and email address is the one that doesn't have any data in it, except every now and then there's one. There's one. It used to default that everyone's email address is included, and now it's only people that choose to have their email address included. So if you were counting on that, it was a good download. First name, last name, company, title, email address, the date they connected. I mean, you can see who your first connection was. How cool is that? I mean, it's still cool. Yeah. You still get that field. Mine was Dan Outcalt on January 14th, 2004. And I know Dan, and we were involved in technology, and he sent me a LinkedIn invite to connect, and I accepted on that date. And there's no way to know who that was other than the LinkedIn download, the data download, which is kind of cool, don't you think? I think it's cool. I'm kind of geeky, though. I kind of think that's cool. And I think it's kind of cool that if I could take that data and other data I get from LinkedIn and merge it together and put it into my CRM system without me copying and pasting, or not doing that at all and not having any data in my CRM system. You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't get right. So somebody's going to copy and paste, or there's going to be some systemization somewhere in doing that. And LinkedIn only gives you so many data fields for you to work with. So it's probably going to be something other than LinkedIn themselves. So in doing that, let's explore. There's some tools that do some really cool stuff with LinkedIn and Sales Navigator, and Salesforce. And one of them is called Sales Loft.
Okay.
Powerful, cool tool, way cool tool. Yeah. And Kyle Porter runs the company, runs a really tight ship and stuff. Really cool tool. And what Salesforce is, when I'm into Salesforce, Sales Loft will let me do all kinds of cool stuff sitting right here in Salesforce. Let me invite that person. Let me send them a message.
Right from Salesforce.
Right from within Salesforce, without being in LinkedIn. That's some major API integration that happens there.
Yeah.
But what it doesn't do is let you take data from LinkedIn and get it into Salesforce in the first place. So somehow you got to get the data into Salesforce in the first place, and then you can do this cool stuff. But somebody's going to be tapping or importing or doing something.
Yeah.
And when you type data into Salesforce, you don't necessarily get the exact first name and last name and all that stuff the way LinkedIn has it. So logic has to be kind of fuzzy there. I'm Mike Oneil, but I could be Michael Oneil.
Right, right.
You go down that list. There's 2 L's in Oneil, and a lot of people get it wrong.
Right.
You know, is it EAL? On and on, right? There's little things there. So there's that part. As long as you have the profile URL, you're usually okay. So there's the key.
Okay.
Slow it down for the big takeaway. If you've got the LinkedIn profile URL or the Sales Navigator profile URL, you're usually able to do the matchups, because that's the like the member ID number that's available to the public. So on LinkedIn, it says linkedin.com/in/ in my case, Mike Oneil, in your case, Barbara Longue, right? Something like that, right?
Yeah.
And in Sales Navigator, it says / gobbledygook search equals and a whole bunch more icky gobbledygook.
Yeah.
But it works. It works. Okay. And it only returns one. It's like searching for just one person. It's just you there.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it works. And some of the systems and on all will take that list of those URLs in and say, sure. And then they'll grab the LinkedIn first name and go, dear first name, and that kind of stuff, and can work with that. But the gem is to have the / in URL. That's the big gem.
But that's the one coming from the basic LinkedIn profile, not the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, correct?
That's right. Yeah, the amount of areas where you can use the Sales Navigator one are slim, but let me share a big one. Okay. So into Salesforce, I bring 2 URLs in. I got LinkedIn and the Sales Navigator URL. The LinkedIn one, because from there I can endorse their skills from there, all kinds of things you can only do from LinkedIn, right? But in Sales Navigator, I can save them as a lead. Yeah. I can add a tag. I can see other lead recommendations at the same company. I can see other companies like theirs and lead recommendations theirs, all brought to me just from one click away. And I just got to scroll a little bit.
Yeah.
So now you're thinking about, there's 2 things on LinkedIn I got to keep track of. Could there be more? Yes, Good. The company page is another, right, Barbara? I mean, the company page, one click away once again. So I generally have 3 URLs from LinkedIn when I do my work and get stuff into pipe.
Yeah, for each contact that you'd like to connect with, or that you are in the process of connecting with.
Well, these are from folks that I actually have connected with in this case here, because of the way I'm gathering the data.
Yeah.
But it could be folks that you would just visit, for example, using in another case. You might just visit a bunch of profiles. And if you do that, you don't get the email address. You don't get some of the information when you just go visit,
Yeah.
With 30,000 connections, I'm not just visiting very often anymore. Mostly I'm visiting people I'm connected to, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of data down. But and then there's some intermediate things. There's a really interesting tool I want to share here. I'm really excited about it. I have been a user for
Yeah, I'd love to hear about it.
It's called Lead IQ. Okay, so what Lead IQ does is gather data, and I have the corporate version of it. They've done a nice thing for me. I get to pay quarterly instead of annually, but it's my most expensive subscription of them all, is leadiq.com. And from a Sales Navigator list or a LinkedIn.com list of people. On LinkedIn, it's 10 people. On Sales Navigator, it's 25, longer list.
Right.
But it'll take that data, and then it will go out to it'll kind of scan the page. And then it goes out to Google, and it goes out to data feeds it has, private data feeds that it has. This pays money for data to get it from a DNB subscription costs money. Know what I mean, right? And I'm not sure if that's one of them, but you get the idea of what a data feed
costs.
Right? Some people got it, some don't. And they have assembled about 25 or 30 data fields about these prospects now. And they reverse engineer what the email address is for corporate. So it's not the Mike at LinkedIn, mike.linkedin@gmail.com address. It's the Mike at integratedalliances.com address.
Okay.
you know,
Right.
and it comes with a quality score, like is it verified or nearly, or, you know, is it, don't use this one, you
Yeah.
know, it's really
Yeah.
bad, bounced here, don't use that one. But the other data comes up with like the amount of number of employees in the company, you know, that's a really nice thing to suck into your CRM system. You know, the address of corporate headquarters, you know, 30 data fields is a lot, you know, and
That is. That's a lot of info. Yeah.
4 or 5 are not populated. Okay. And say, you know, and tomorrow they are, you know, it seems like with these things that as LinkedIn changes, the tools have to change and the feeds come in and don't have this and that and stuff. But Lead IQ only scans the search page for the most part. And they have an individual product as well that's just for adding onesie twosie individual people into the search.
Okay.
So it's really worth taking a look at. And the folks that do that have a really good product, and the way it flows is nice. The user interface is nice. I get it. It isn't like some of these others that look like they're, you know, written by HTML people who probably have.
I've seen a lot of those too. You're like, what? Yeah.
I put a lot of value and a lot of weight into ease of use and simplicity. And I want to share with your audience a couple things that will really help. Okay, these are some of my best tips, and they work whether you're using LinkedIn for free or Sales Navigator or anything. So here's a real gem, all right? And I'm sharing this with the world. Now, I intend to write an application that does this, but in the meantime, what happens is your inbox gets really crowded. You know, messages from a week ago that were pretty important are now way down there.
I know. Yeah, it is. Finding stuff, you're like, well, where did it go? Where's that guy?
There's a line from Pink Floyd that says, and the paper boy brings more tomorrow. You know, I mean, you just never get through it, and there's more and more. But every message that you get has a unique URL associated with it.
I did not realize that. Okay.
That's /thread and a URL associated. So think, if we could keep track of those URLs somewhere, like in a bookmarking tool, we could do that. And it works out really well in Google, in Chrome. So in Chrome, you just go to the Chrome bookmark manager and you add a folder called important LinkedIn messages, maybe 2, maybe the most important and important or something, you know, maybe 2.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at that message there, you've got to be in the inbox looking at the message. Okay. There's a little preview thing in the corner on the right, not that. You got to be in the inbox. But if you bookmark that page, you'll be able to get back to it anytime you like.
That's interesting. That's very interesting, actually. And I think you're right. That would be an awesome app, a little add-on for people to.
I'm working on it, the LinkedIn bookmark.
That's awesome.
So if anyone wants to talk about that, talk to me. I'm visiting with developers and all, but there's the stopgap in the first place. Here's another one that will really help. Okay, I'm really focused on the inbox for you here. I want to give your audience things that they can't get elsewhere, and this is really hot stuff. Okay, you set up your announcements and your notifications from LinkedIn, so they send an individual email for every message that's sent to you. You turn off everything but the important stuff, and there's just a few, like an in-mail or a message that's sent to you, comes one at a time. Okay, so now it comes into my Gmail. What do I do with it there? Well, you add a rule there. It comes into inbox rules, and they're really pretty easy. I set it up so it goes into a folder called LinkedIn Messages. It gets bolded. It never gets saved, never gets sent to spam. Always shows up in my inbox on the big inbox, but it's labeled in a folder, and I've got all my messages there. And the ones I don't care about, I just delete. The ones that are left are the ones that are important. So
that's awesome. That is a great tip. But I just wanted to do a formal introduction for you. Mike is a 2 times Forbes top 50 social media influencer and is the author of Rock the World with LinkedIn. Since the earliest days of LinkedIn, Mike has been coaching, training, and speaking on LinkedIn. Mike is a world-leading expert on LinkedIn Sales Navigator for lead generation, partner recruitment, and more. So is this still primarily your major source of one of your businesses, which is coaching people on LinkedIn? You're grabbing them right from their LinkedIn profiles?
You know, I get referrals from all different ways. People see me at conferences and stuff, but everyone ends up looking at me on LinkedIn. Okay, how do they find me? You know,
Yeah.
whatever it is, it comes from there, and they either, if we're already connected, I have 30,000 connections. So a lot of folks that I've run across, I'm already connected with. I have a
Yeah.
really good network. I have one of the best networks there is out there now. There's plenty of other really great ones, but there aren't many people that have deleted 20,000 people so they could keep adding better and better and better and better people over 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, one of your questions that you ask some folks is, what big mistakes have they ever made, right?
Yeah.
Let me share one right here. I'm going to fall on the sword in front of everybody. I had a half a day that I was with Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn. Sat right next to him, got a picture with him. Okay, made it in my LinkedIn book. Rock the World with LinkedIn, made it in my LinkedIn book. And he wouldn't, I sent him an invite while we were there. I mean, this is 12 years ago. 12 years ago, 2007, you know, LinkedIn was just getting pictures from just people around then. Okay. So you could tell if Pat was a man or a woman, you know, you just didn't know.
Right.
But still can't tell with Pat, but you get the idea with Chris, and, you know, we didn't know the gender of people then because you couldn't see if they were a man or woman sometimes. And it was what's it, popular or fashionable at the time to put your email address in with your last name. It was the thing of the day. It was really cool and hip, and I had it in. My last name was Oneil space Oneil at integratedalliances.com. And I invited him on LinkedIn, and he said, Mike, I can't connect with you because of that. I have two choices to make. I made the wrong choice. What were my two choices, Barbara? Take it out or leave it.
Yeah.
And I chose to keep it, and he didn't connect with me, and I would have been connected to him and been one step from all of those super important people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the biggest mistake I ever made in this career here. I made some other big ones, but that was the biggest one that I could really control. And frankly, it's a really good story because, you know, maybe I could go back again and say, Reid, do you remember? You know, please. I don't know.
I think it'd be worth a try. And I got to tell you, that story of you connecting, even going through that process a second time, would be really awesome to tell that story again and to see what happens the second time through.
You know, I'll say I was on Barbara's show, and that's where we concocted that idea. I'll say that. Well,
that's right. And we're trying to help more people understand how to use it more effectively, because it is a tool that's really coming up and seems to be driving a lot more traction of serious business connections. Do you think that's really because Microsoft is now fully involved in running it, or how do you think decided to finally turn this back into something?
Well, first of all, Sales Navigator has come along and it's really taken off.
Yeah.
So whereas it might have been 0.0 what percent out there, it's now maybe, you know, 4 or 5% of the population. And take 4 or 5% or whatever number it is. I know it is in that range. Okay. Times $80 or $130 or more a month. Yeah. And now you're competing with LinkedIn Recruiter, which was the real cash cow for LinkedIn.
Right.
Still is the biggest cash cow. Those folks pay $500 a month for the base license, 6 or more.
Wow.
Well, there's a Recruiter Lite for $125, maybe some in that range. But
wow. Okay.
And folks might have multiple, but even if you are recruiting, Sales Navigator works out great, because if you're using the idea of, I want to find folks at certain companies, and then I want to engage certain folks there at the company as a job seeker or a recruiter, that account-based selling approach is one that it's a paid path. We know that one, right? Let's find the companies I want to sell to. Let's find the companies I want to work with. Let's find the companies ... And using Sales Navigator, it's built in. You can save accounts as companies as accounts, people as leads, get the feeds going and stuff. And that's really happened a lot. The people that at one time, you know, might have paid, you know, nothing for LinkedIn or bought premium, now we're on Sales Navigator now, because that data approach out there fits well with their CRM system and
Yeah.
with other stuff. They like lists of people, all around me are lists. But in Sales Navigator, you can't print them out. You can't download them. You need a little bit more juice than that.
Yeah.
And that's where I come in. See, there's a.
So walk me through what you actually do when you're working one-on-one with a client and their company.
Well, the first thing we find out is sort of what their personality style is. First of all, are they the ones that are kind of quick to ask for the appointment, or are they more in terms of building relationships sort of stuff? So there's a little personality trait thing there. Everyone needs to have their profile updated for the modern day, and really they optimize it now for just the stuff at the top. Okay,
Yeah.
so great stuff what happened way back and all your causes and all that stuff. It's just the stuff at the top that really matters. Okay. And then we look at what their audience looks like, their target audience. Who do they really want to work with? Not who are they working with now? That's a different question. Okay. I mean, who do they really want to work with? Because we get to choose who our customers are when we go out here. That's what's so cool about it.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry that somebody who has a worm farm business is going to contact me too much, because I'm not contacting worm farm business people.
Yeah. Okay.
But they might find me somehow, and I lay it out there. I lay it out there in that these are the kind of people I work with. So the worm farm guy might, think I'm cool because he likes rock and roll and shit and stuff. Sorry, didn't mean to swear. But generally, my kind of people find me because I lay out that kind of shingle. Okay. So what we find out though is you take your ideal targets out there and you look at who you already got, and they're not the same.
Right.
You find that I might have even thousands of connections, but if I look at who I really want to work with, I don't have many of those in my profile, in my network, any at all in LinkedIn, anywhere here. A couple hundred maybe.
Well, and also I think looking at it realistically, people change their focus. They change your audience. I was in the wine business for 35 years in the States, and that's not my target market anymore.
That's exactly why, seriously, people in the last 3 to 5 years, or since they got on LinkedIn, have had a little career shift somehow. Yeah. In many cases, it was forced upon them. I lost my job at AT&T, we're not digging coal anymore. And now we are digging coal again, or we aren't, or what is it, but whatever it is, something happened and their network no longer reflects what they want to go after. So now we're really saying, all right, so now we're going to go after, and by the way, if there are good folks out there, we can manually handle that. We don't have to systemize those couple hundred people or those couple dozen people in some cases. We're going out after new targets, and that's where we use the 29 filters on Sales Navigator or the 11 on LinkedIn. And either way, just one list. One of the lists, we can exclude the companies that are too big or too small for us. And in the other case, we can't. Our searches have everybody, and we have to manually filter out too big, too small.
Right.
So that's the pitch for Sales Navigator, that one right there. If you don't sell to everybody out there and you'd like the software to filter out the folks that don't fit, too big, too small, just say that. There's all kinds of other to this, to that. But that's the one that's buried in Sales Navigator that's nowhere else. So but once you find these folks, generally what you find is this list of people has got on it somewhere in there some folks I don't agree with. Former customer, the assistant, folks without a picture. No picture, no picture, no dice. Sorry, we don't play it.
Right.
And that's where you need Sales Navigator as well. That's where you decide who you want to include from the target list. TI, this is the time system, Barbara. This is the time system, okay? Targeting, including just the people you want from that target list. So everyone's approved. They're all bona fide. You have said everyone here is okay, because if they're not, they shouldn't be here. Go back in the browser one and take them off. And now forward in the browser again. We only have the bona fide list of people here.
Right.
And those are folks we're going to connect with. And then afterwards, we're going to engage them in some sort of activity, some engagement. Okay. So a step along the way is developing the messages and the content that we're going to dangle in front of them. What are we going to say to these people? So we've decided who they are. And if we put the tech people over here, we can get the tech message over here, and those folks will like it. They can talk jargon together, right?
Yeah.
But you don't talk jargon to the medical people, or the veterinarian doesn't want to hear it, or
Right. So
whatever.
you're getting the right message to the right potential client.
Like a zipper, just like that. And the next zipper has different messages and content. The boxcar comes around, we put more stuff in it, but it goes down this path or that one, depending on the wording and the content that we're driving people to there. This is the time system. That's TIM, messages. And the E in time system is the engagement process, which is sending connection requests, sending messages afterwards. We might endorse a skill. You know, we might just visit a profile. We could follow them. There's a series of actions that you can take with somebody. And the series of actions you take with someone you're not connected to is a shorter list. Once you connect, you can recommend, you can endorse, you can do all kinds of things. You see their email address. But until then, you don't. So there's the incentive to start out the time system engagement here, the campaign system here. We're targeting folks you're not connected to now, who connect with you, and then you do this stuff after.
Yeah.
So there's two inputs into the time system. You've got targets that have been scrub list. Messages we're going to send to them for the most part. We're going to say to them. Okay. There's two outputs from the time system. Two outputs. So as this thing chugs along, or as we send, or someone sends for us, as these actions are happening, people respond. My gosh, guess what? It works.
An actual conversation.
They do. Now, so let's discuss the conversations. Let's peel the onion back a little bit, all right? So we peel back those conversations. First of all, they might be, I love the idea, what are you doing on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Hallelujah. We'll call that a positive one. Can we agree? Right?
Sure.
Some of them are more like, thanks for sharing. I get a lot of that, thanks for sharing. As I share content, they go, thanks for sharing. Or thanks for endorsing me for. Or I don't know, thumbs up. But it's not negative, because that's the third kind. And that's the, don't ever talk to me again. Don't do this. I'm not interested at all. And you've got special things you've got extra steps to take, right? You got to unsubscribe, so to say, whatever that is in this world that we're in here, in the LinkedIn world. And there are steps to take to do that. So that's one of the outputs. Two inputs, one output. The last output is the data. So when you connect with folks in the campaign process, you get to see their email address there. You get to see a phone number for some people if you go look for it in the right spot, right? You've seen that, right? Click the contact button. Well, so an assistant could put that data into a CRM system for you or so. Or there are some systems out there that might do that mechanically. You know, the whole process of doing all of these things, there's only a few things that take well to mechanization, to the systemization like this. And it's sending connection requests. It's sending some messages afterwards, maybe. It might be, possibly endorsing a skill could be mechanized or systemized somehow. But it's not responding to people. That's you. You got to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to scrub the list. There's all kinds of things that only you can do. There's only a few things. But that data part, that's one of the systemization parts that people like the most. Because getting data into a CRM system, one character at a time or one field at a time, instead of one record at a time, is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is where I live, and this is where folks that might see you there go, gee, I'd like to know more about that. I should reach out to Mike. That mechanization, that systemization stuff. I can't share a lot of that in public here because, these are, part of it are trade secrets, and part of it is LinkedIn doesn't like you, doing some of these things so much. And
so how do people reach you, Mike? What's the best way? I'm assuming obviously on LinkedIn.
It's easy. Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. Here's the easiest way. Go to navigatinglinkedin.com. Navigatinglinkedin.com. I have resources there. You can book a call with me. You can find my profile from there. It's a nice resources site where I have all the LinkedIn industries in a nice list that's even categorized. The technology are grouped together and the manufacturing grouped together. I'm just trying to help people there. And if they think they like this style and stuff, then they can book a call with me. It's a free 30-minute call right from there. So
Yeah, that's awesome. But asking one more question here, Mike, what are some of the worst recommendations you hear in your profession?
so one of the worst recommendations I hear in my profession. Let's see. I have a lot of candidates. It's not like okay.
Yeah.
So that job seekers should not look like they're job seekers, and they hear that, open new opportunities and that kind of stuff. I get that, but it doesn't back up if you're doing outbound, you shouldn't need that. They're counting on inbound. They're counting on people searching on people looking for jobs because they're trying to fill a job and stuff. If you're doing outbound, here's what and I don't work with job seekers much, but this is where it comes into play, because it's just where Sales Navigator works the same way. Find the companies you want to work for. In my case, the companies I want to sell to. Same thing, companies. Save them as accounts. And then find the people there that you want to work with, the ones you like. And you look at the profiles one at a time, but you might pick seniority level filter on Sales Navigator, just managers here, okay? And I'm going to go through the managers and see who I like, who looks like me, kind of fits my style,
Yeah.
And I save them as leads. And then on the home page of Sales Navigator every day, whether it's companies and people I want to sell to, or employees, companies I want to work for, on the home page are things that they're doing. Here's what's up with them, and only them. Your homepage of LinkedIn.com has all this chatter from all the folks you're connected to that have been prioritized by the filter people at LinkedIn. They prioritize who's at the top, and however many connections you got is all the rest down there.
Yeah.
The homepage of Sales Navigator has just my leads and accounts, and it's even better, Barbara. Now you say, now what can I do that's better? Come on, now what can I do that's better? Tell me. I'm waiting.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what's better than that. What's even better than that, Mike?
When I save leads and accounts in Sales Navigator, they recommend people just like them. That's where there's a little tab that says recommended leads, and there's 200 people there, and they're based on the people that I'm saving now. More people.
Okay.
And when I go through those 200, guess what? 200 more come. Any profile I look at has people just like them. People also viewed, like you see on LinkedIn sometimes. You see on the right on a profile, people also viewed. Well, they've taken that to great extremes on Sales Navigator with their big data matchups and all that stuff.
Okay.
Beautiful. So I was just on a 3-day conference, 2 hours each morning, and I was on it. And I was the guy that spoke on Sales Navigator at it. No one else had the topic. A lot of folks talking about profiles and talking about, content. And I just honed in on just these things here. And I think this audience out here heard things they never heard before.
Yeah.
The little secret about bookmarking your messages. No one knows that stuff. And look how valuable that is.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a great idea. Because it really does get tricky. It is not an obvious platform to jump in on without a system in place and a whole process to make this logical.
Yep. Hey, the sun has changed during our course of our call, hasn't it?
I can see. I'm not sure where I should go. If I should be half black and half white.
Tasmania is a different place, isn't it? My gosh.
It is.
Weather changes just like this. So any other questions? I love working with you, Barbara.
Yeah. Let's look at some of the other things that you do. I know you love rock and roll. What? How do you incorporate that into your business, other than naming your book "Rocking the World with LinkedIn"?
I do go to a lot of concerts, and I always have friends that are at the same concerts as mine. I mean, Steely Dan comes to town. I probably know 50 people there. So there is one little thing you can do on your phone and see who's local right there. I've done that before to see who's at the concert. It's right on your iPhone. You can see who's there.
Yeah.
I like to incorporate Facebook more with my personal life. and LinkedIn more with my professional life. And if you see on Facebook, I'm pretty committed to some social causes out there. You know, I got a big heart. And when I'm going somewhere, I'm always promoting where it is, and I got a link into it, and I'm hashtagging it, and I'm tagging people in it and stuff. In LinkedIn, I do a little bit less of that because some of the things that I'm involved in, you know, don't really appeal to LinkedIn people. They're you know, rock and roll oriented sort of stuff, for example. You know, just like you said, I contributed to a book called 21 Days of LinkedIn. 21 Days in the title of it. And my chapter in it, literally, we're seeing a concert, and the original chapter I wrote had the Eagles in it. But I'm standing in line with somebody, and we just get chatting, you know, and he gives me his business card, and I send him a LinkedIn invite right there at the concert. And he accepts it, and he says, "We're down in row 17, you know, come on down," you know.
Yeah.
So there's a little story, and it fits. It's a combination of a bunch of things. I will know somebody where we are, and through the power of text message, or in this case, LinkedIn or Facebook message or something, I'll end up sitting in a different seat than the seat I'm sitting in. I'll just leave it at that. It's usually a better one.
That's very funny.
Well, my buddies are coming down to me because I've gotten down front.
So, Mike, what are some of the personal habits that you contribute to your success? Do you have a daily morning routine, or is there an afternoon routine? What do you do to stay so vibrant and so active?
I walk every day. I try to. I'm on a treadmill desk right now, so half of the year I don't walk outside. Yeah. But I walk every day. My mind really gets moving. When I shower in the morning, I get 2-3 ideas, and I need to have a little writing thing, because sometimes by the time I get to the keyboard, I've forgotten 1 or 2 of the 3 things that came up.
Yeah.
But starting my day early, I would recommend that to people if you can do that. It's been good to me.
Define early.
Too. Huh? Early?
Early.
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock's early. That's starting early for me. I used to start my day at 10 because I'd work into the night many nights. And now I'm more called. I only schedule things at 10 before. Outside, I schedule some at 9 or at 8:30 or at 7 and all. But that time in the morning when I go for a walk, I'm in Minnesota. It's so beautiful around here in the summer. I get my ideas, and I actually will text, voice to text right here into my notes on the phone, and come back, and I go like, what was I thinking of? What was that? Sometimes, you know, you get a great idea that meant something while you were halfway around the lake, and it doesn't mean when you get to the other way around the lake.
So, Mike, last question. Imagine you woke up tomorrow morning in a brand new world, identical to Earth, but you knew no one. You have all the experience and knowledge you currently have, your food and shelter taken care of, but all you have is a laptop and $500. What do you do next for the next 7 days to create a new business?
I go to a coffee shop and try to find some people at a coffee shop around there, and just try to find the coolest coffee shop in town. The one that's the coffee shop that's part of one of those incubator sort of companies.
Yeah.
And I go hang out there and see who I could meet and find and kind of float around. I would definitely go to an incubator in the Twin Cities here. It might be CocoNet, or it might be who knows what. There's a different place, a WeWork place, but I go to the biggest, baddest ones there, and I try to meet a bunch of people and see what I could stir up. Absolutely, positively, I would do that.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Mike. And if you'd like to reach out for Mike, look for Mike Oneil on LinkedIn. What other?
NavigatingLinkedIn.com. Go to navigatinglinkedin.com. Lots of great free.
All of his resources. You've got a bunch of free resources there for people, and an opportunity to book a one-on-one private call with Mike.
Yeah. So when you book the call and stuff, tell me a few things, because I asked you some questions about it, because I'll be all dialed up. I won't just be looking at your profile for the first time when we get on the call. I'm well prepared for all my calls. So book a call with me and tell me what's on your mind in particular, and I'll make sure I focus on that for us.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks a bunch, Mike, and best of luck to you in the future.
All right, Barb. Okay, coming from 12,000 miles away from you, probably, right? Aren't we about as far away as you can be on the planet?
I think we are, yeah. The wonders of technology today.
29 hours to get there on an airplane, something like that.
Pretty close, yeah.
All right, Barbara, it's really great. And folks, I really enjoyed meeting you all here virtually. Look forward to talking to some of you.
All right.